In the spring of 1944, inside the dark heart of Nazi-occupied Poland, a miracle began to unfold. Two men, barefoot, starving, and terrified, slipped past machine guns and barbed wire, hiding in a woodpile soaked in gasoline to mask their scent from dogs. Their destination was not freedom, it was truth. They were Rudolf Vrba and Alfred Wetzler, and their mission was simple: tell the world what was happening at Auschwitz. At the time, Auschwitz-Birkenau was a place shrouded in rumors. Even among Europe's Jews, many didn't believe it was truly a death camp. The Nazis were careful to maintain the illusion. Deportees were told they were going east to work. Some were handed fake train tickets. Families packed bags with clothes and valuables, unaware they were walking into a machine designed for extermination. Vrba and Wetzler had seen it all. They had walked the gravel paths between wooden barracks. They had watched smoke rise from chimneys after transports arrived. They had memorized the routines, the deception, the selections, the gassings, the crematoria. Rudolf Vrba, born Walter Rosenberg in Slovakia, was just 19 when he arrived at Auschwitz in 1942. Quick-witted and fluent in German, he became a registrar in one of the camp offices. It was there that he gained access to data, numbers, schedules, train manifests. He saw with chilling clarity what the camp was built for. He watched entire trainloads of people vanish overnight. Most didn't make it past the first few hours. Alfred Wetzler, also Slovak and slightly older, had been at Auschwitz even longer. He was practical, quiet, meticulous, a perfect partner for an escape. For 2 years, Vrba plotted, observing guard rotations, studying dog patrol patterns. He knew that escape from Auschwitz was nearly impossible, but he also knew something more terrible. The Hungarian Jews were coming. In 1944, with the Nazis occupying Hungary, the deportation of hundreds of thousands of Hungarian Jews was imminent. Vrba and Wetzler believed, correctly, that Auschwitz was preparing for its largest extermination yet. They couldn't stay silent. They had to escape and warn the world. On April 7, 1944, the two men made their move, slipping out during an air raid alert. They crawled under a pile of wood stacked outside the perimeter. Their friends in the camp helped stage a fake scent trail to confuse the dogs. For 3 nights and 2 days, they remained motionless in the pile, drenched in fear and gasoline. Finally, on the 3rd night, they emerged. The sirens hadn't found them. The guards hadn't noticed. They were outside the fence, but freedom was still miles away. They walked, they hid, they foraged for food. Once, they were nearly caught by German patrols and narrowly escaped by slipping into the forest. For 11 days, they crossed enemy territory, hungry and exhausted, until they reached Slovakia. There, they contacted members of the Slovak Jewish Council, who were skeptical at first. But Vrba and Wetzler weren't just witnesses, they were record keepers. They spent 2 weeks dictating every detail they remembered. Layouts of the camp, guard routines, the number and timing of transports, the mechanics of the gas chambers. The report was 32 pages long, a horrifying, precise account of the industrialized murder happening behind Auschwitz's gates. The document became known as the Vrba-Wetzler Report. It was smuggled to Switzerland, translated into multiple languages, and sent to Allied governments, the Pope, and even neutral countries. For the first time, the world had hard evidence of what Auschwitz was. But time was the enemy. Even as the report spread, trains continued to roll into Auschwitz. In May 1944 alone, nearly 12,000 Hungarian Jews per day were arriving. Still, the report had an effect. International pressure mounted. World leaders, including Roosevelt and Churchill, demanded that the Hungarian regime stop the deportations. And on July 9, 1944, Hungarian leader Miklos Horthy, under intense pressure, ordered a halt to the transports. By then, over 437,000 Hungarian Jews had been deported. Most went straight to the gas chambers, but the rest, perhaps 200,000 more, were saved, because 2 men risked everything to speak the truth. After the war, the Vrba-Wetzler report became a key piece of evidence during the Nuremberg trials. It helped to expose the full horror of the Holocaust and bring Nazi war criminals to justice. But Vrba and Wetzler themselves remained haunted. Vrba, in particular, struggled with the fact that the report couldn't stop all the killings. In later years, he became vocal in criticizing Jewish leaders who he believed didn't do enough to spread the report quickly or broadly. He carried the weight of memory and the guilt of survival for the rest of his life. Still, he never stopped speaking, never stopped testifying. He became a scientist, a writer, a public witness to history. In his memoir, I Cannot Forgive, he wrote, "I escaped from Auschwitz to tell the world, and the world had to know." Wetzler, quieter by nature, returned to Slovakia, lived a modest life, and wrote under a pseudonym. He too carried the burden of memory. Their story, once buried in post-war politics and disbelief, has slowly gained recognition. In recent years, their escape has been dramatized in films and books. Schools now teach their report. Historians call it one of the most important documents of the Holocaust. But perhaps the greatest tribute is this. When the train stopped, when Auschwitz was finally liberated, when the silence ended, part of the reason was that two men didn't run for freedom. They ran for the truth. And they told it.